Alright, guys, Soni podcast, Conversations on Life in Combat, episode 9. This is a big episode.
Hell
Last
yeah.
week, I got Phil Greco, Canadian pro boxer. He fought Amir Khan, Errol Spence, Sean Porter. I'm back with another bang. I'm here with a pro MMA fighter, former UFC fighter, a fighter who fought in Gamebred's promotion, Bare Knuckle, and a very talented mixed martial artist. I'm introducing the one and only Peter Barrett. How you doing, man?
Good, brother. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you taking the time to get an interview with me.
No, of course, bro. Thank you for coming on, man. This is a big episode. Have you are you big into philosophy and stuff, or
In my own way.
in
Yeah.
your own way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. But one of the most iconic questions. I'll start off with this. One of the most iconic questions on my podcast is, "What is success? What is success?" So, what do you think, bro? What is success?
You know, so I think that's a very subjective question with very, very different answers for every person. Um, Success could be, and success could be just living comfortably with your family, being able to provide for your wife and kids, being happy at the end of the day, and being content with what you do. Other people might look at success like being a world champion, getting local belts, fighting on big promotions. But like what's successful to me or how I would define success changes from time to time. If you'd asked me maybe 5 or 6 years ago, success for me then would have been to, you know, continue to fight in the UFC. Now, I've kind of put my stamp on the Northeast scene when I scooped up the Cage Titans belt last July and have been venturing back out again with my latest outing last November with Gamebred. So right now, success is just finding ways to have fun with what I love to do and to provide for my family. So, um, like I said, it really depends on what stage I'm in my life. But for the first 10 years of my career, maybe closer to 12, 13, it was all about getting to the UFC, staying in the UFC, succeeding in the UFC, um, becoming a household name within the sport of MMA. But now I'm a little bit older. My son's a year and a half old. My focuses are a little different. So my definition of success is kind of like not mutating, but growing with what I have to be responsible for.
Yeah, that's true. But according to that definition, don't you think you're always going to be chasing something? You'll never be satisfied with what you have. You'll never be like, "Oh, I am successful."
I think something that comes to mind is like perfection is a direction, not a destination. And I think success can be defined similarly. As long as you're moving in the right direction, you're always chasing something, but you'll never be content with where you are at any given time. If you're someone that's competitive or always trying to do better, get better, that could be making more money, that could be getting better fights. But yeah, you're always going to be chasing something regardless. You just hope you're chasing the right things.
That's true. So let me ask you: Are you successful?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm a very successful fighter. I'm a very successful father. Um, I'm a very successful entrepreneur. Within the many hats that I wear, I would say I'm a success.
yeah, 100%. Like your story is inspirational. You fought in the UFC, you fought in Gabriel's promotion. You have a family. That's inspirational, right? You're doing amazing.
And I'm still
But
figuring it out how I go as we go.
but like you said, you're still chasing more.
Mhm.
So if you're still chasing more, are you successful? Right? Like,
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, you're still successful. You're just ambitious as hell. You want to keep getting better and like I said, grow and accomplish more things. That would be saying, are you still competitive? Well, of course I'm still competitive. Even if I'm not, when I'm done fighting, I'll still be competitive. I think it's a good motivation to keep you moving in the right direction without getting stagnant or apathetic.
but in okay, yeah, but in that, yeah, but if you're in my situation, it's a little different, right? Because I'm still 17. I'm still trying to go so much more. For you, like, You've
Yeah, but
accomplished so much, right? But like,
you got to give yourself credit. How many 17-year-olds have a podcast where they're interviewing world-renowned athletes and talking to fighters like that? I bet
yeah,
most of the kids your age are still like eating after school snacks and trying to figure out where their homies are so they can go screw around for a little bit.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But if someone asks me right now, "Are you successful?" I'm gonna say no, because I still have so much more to go.
It's
But,
true.
but yeah, but like, my definition of success is happiness, right? If I'm not happy, I'm not successful.
I think happiness is a good answer. I think happiness can equate to success. I don't think all that requires you to be happy would also be a good answer for what success is. But if, like I said, perfection is a direction. If you're moving in the direction that's going to allow you to be successful in the future and you're loving it while you're doing it, yeah, you're successful. You're moving towards your goals. I'd say that's a success in its own right. And the fact that you have goals at 17 is a success. You know, a lot of kids don't figure that out until they get out of college and they're like, I got this degree. What am I supposed to do with my life? You know, you're
Exactly.
going to have something that you can work on all the way through if you decide to go to university or whatnot. And, and like I said, you're building an empire right now. You're just in its infancy.
Yeah.
So I think happiness is a good answer. Um, you know what's his name? I will teach you to be rich. His name's Ramit Sethi, maybe. He
Okay.
he has like what's what's your rich life, and it's kind of similar to what you're asking with success. You
Yeah.
know, as long as I'm a happy family man, I can pay for what my family needs immediately, and you know we're moving in the right direction. I'd consider that a success. But I would also, you know, break that down smaller and say, with my fighting, that's been a success because I've accomplished so many great things.
Yeah, for
But to
sure.
even have the balls to do what you want to do is a success because most people will never get out of their own head because they're too busy telling themselves why they can't do it. So
Yeah.
there's like baby steps of success along the way, like setting goals, you know. You could have a big goal to have the biggest podcast or to be a world champion fighter, but your little goals along the way are going to be to win your next fight, to get a big name, to have another interview, to maybe get a press pass to do live shows. You know what I mean? So, like, goals and success, I think, go hand in hand. But I don't think you can, I think you're trying to put a line in the sand that doesn't necessarily need to be there. But
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But you think like all of this that you're talking about, all this you accomplished, the next interview, the next fight, you think this is all destiny, or it's you writing your own destiny?
I think we dance on a fine line in between like destiny and what's the word I'm looking for?
Free will.
Like, yeah, free will. I think we
Free
have
will.
free
Yeah.
will, but I think there's many different, you know, destinies based off of the decisions you make with your free will. You might have passed on an opportunity that could have wildly changed your life, but at the time you didn't have maybe the ambition to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did at that time, you would have a whole timeline there that was predestined to go where you wanted, where it was supposed to go. Maybe you took another opportunity, a different decision. Boom, you've got like another timeline written there, and they can all change depending on what opportunities you choose. But I think that like if you want to get into like that multiverse theory, for every
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, for every outcome, for every decision you could have made, there's infinite possibilities of directions it can go in, but they each have like a linear line that go with each.
But you think like let me give you like a situation like people that you trained with or people that you fought with, right? You made it so far. You made it to UFC. You made it to Gamebred, right? But don't you think there are people more talented than you were? But because of your opportunities that you had, you made it further. Do you think that was your destiny, or because there's got to be some destiny involved? You know, what do you think?
I think the universe fortunes the brave. You know, I do. I think if you have the balls to go out there and believe in yourself, you're going to control your destiny. If you get out there and you start to second guess yourself, that other person's ambition or focus or determination might so happen to put them in a position that allows them to succeed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think the two guys that I fought in the UFC, I should have beat, and I
Yousef
didn't. And
Zalal,
now
Yousef
and
Zalal,
now
and
Yusuf
Jason. Yeah,
Zalal did the same thing to me. Jab and run, jab and run, jab and run.
yeah,
And he just beat Calvin Cater.
yeah. I saw
Fucking
that.
old boy with the that got me in the heel hook.
Chase Super, Chase Super.
He's fighting Jim Miller. You know, I saw that on us. I'm like, that I looked at some of that work the other day. And I'm like, see that? That could be me. I will forever be eaten alive by that fucking fight. I got cut off. A great performance. I was beating the shit out of him for 13 minutes. I was up 3 rounds to none. It would have been a 20, it would have been a 30-27, maybe 30-26 if he hadn't landed that heel hook. And then I got cut off that performance.
Dude, I actually watched that fight live. It was on Oliveira versus Tony fight card, right?
Yep.
I think
And
I think yeah.
that was the same. And I actually just mentioned the same fight card. I think it was that. Yeah, it was that card that who knocked out who from the bottom. We were just talking about this.
Oh,
Mike,
Figgy,
no,
Davidson
no,
figure.
figure they fought, but it was oh my god. He's a gatekeeper. He knocked out Jacare from the bottom.
Okay. What weight
Uh
class?
170, 185, maybe a bit bigger. No, must have been 185. Um, oh my God, he's a loudmouth. He fought on the Contender Series as well. Kevin, no, oh man, if I wasn't on my phone, I would look it up.
Yo, let's pull it up right now. That was UFC 256. You got
Yeah,
it right.
yeah. And he knocked out Jacare from the bottom,
Jacare.
for lack of a better descriptor. And it's like eating me alive that I can't think of his name. He's a contender. Fought on the he is a contender, like top 15. Fought on the Contender Series. Um, oh come
Cub
on.
Swanson.
No,
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 no.
no, no, no.
Physia. Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland.
Yeah. Kevin.
That's what I'm
Oh,
thinking
Kevin
of.
Holland. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are just these like random like chances. Boom! He hits that knocker. He knocks him out from the bottom. If that went the other way and it was an elbow from the top down, it could have went the other way. But like
Yeah.
he had the balls to sit up to think, you know what? I'm going to hit this guy from the bottom. I'm not going to try to get up. And
Mm-hmm.
then like my fight with Hooper. Like if he actually got my knee in the first round. He got my leg in the first round, right at the end of the first round. And then when he got me in the third round is where it like really started to hurt. But it's just like these unique opportunities where
Yeah.
it could have gone either way. And I think maybe their self-belief, and this hurts to say, but maybe the self-belief of the other guy was a little bit more to get them through that adversity to get them the W, you know?
Oh, okay. But don't you think there were
So
people more brave than you that didn't get the chances to make it? Or is it all based on your skill, your
I mean,
control?
it is and it isn't. It's a lot of it's based on your skill. A lot of it's being in the right place at the right time. A lot of it's
Exactly.
having a decent manager. But that free will or is that destiny? Was it destiny for you to be in that place at that
Exactly.
time, having won that fight, or was it a potential future from a particular outcome where there are all these potential futures from many different potential outcomes?
Yeah.
So um, I can it be both and?
It's so tough, bro. There's no I don't even think there's like a final answer to it. I wrestle myself too, right? So and even in matches, like the way the match flows, sure
Right.
it is in your control, but I just give it up to destiny. I feel like it's just a way better way of living my life. Like if I lose a match or if anything happens in my life, that's like a big problem. If I just think of it like, oh, that was meant to happen, I have no control in any of this. That's a way better, positive way of me living my life. But if I
But that
say,
doesn't that also open the door to be apathetic? Like life's just gonna happen to me regardless of what I do. Can't you
y-
hide in that as well? You're being bold with it, and I appreciate. And that's your self. That's
yeah,
your self belief, knowing that destiny's gonna take care of me. But someone else's self belief might be that destiny's gonna screw me. You're just on the other side of it,
yeah,
being very positive with it.
yeah, that's true. I actually
You
never thought
know.
of it.
So no, well, I mean, if you were truly apathetic, maybe you wouldn't have this podcast.
Yeah,
Oh, Destiny, if I was supposed to have a podcast, somebody would have called me and said, hey, you need to set up this podcast. I think you should interview this guy.
yeah.
Whereas maybe you went out and said, I think I could do this. I see other young kids doing it, getting interviews. So I'm going to start reaching out to people.
No, but
If
I
it
think
happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like, you still got to have the balls to make the decision, to believe in yourself, to get the ball rolling.
no, you're right. But I think you're mistaking me believing in destiny and not doing anything. Whatever happens, happens. Compared to me actually doing what I love, what comes at me throughout the journey, that's not in my control. Like
I
like
think we're,
I'm
I
giving
think
it
we're
my
both,
best.
yeah, I think we're both making the same point.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm giving my
I,
best shot. Whatever happens, happens. Like
my devil's advocate is just saying to have that belief that destiny's just going to take care of your life could allow you to be a lazy motherfucker. And I'm not saying this isn't a reflection of you. I don't know you
Yeah, I know what you
previous to this conversation, and maybe we'll talk again later. But to give up your control or your free will to say, well, whatever happens to me is meant to be. And that might be true too, but you could be missing out on a lot by not seeking certain things. But you seem to be the type of person that will seek those things. I'm just
mean.
saying, by having that belief, you could put yourself in a little shell and say, well, it's just destiny. If it was supposed to happen, maybe I wouldn't have lost that job. Maybe I would have got hired. Maybe I would have got an internship. Maybe I would have gotten to that university that I really wanted to go to.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point.
So I
Yeah,
think, like I said, I think we're both making the same point. I just think
yeah,
you're giving more self-belief,
exactly. There's two
more
ways of
action.
seeing destiny, like negatively and positively, but it is
Two sides to the same coin.
two sides of the same coin. It's actually a very deep question, like what is it, bro? I don't know.
I mean, what is free will?
What is
Does
free
does
will?
does a table really exist, or is it just a bunch of atoms vibrating together that
That's true.
happen to trick your brain into thinking it's there? And
Yeah.
then you could get into the conversation: is are we our soul, or are we our body? Are we a combination, or is there really a form of us in the astral that's controlling us like a video game? And
Mm,
when we die, we hit the Akashic records and we get to go see everything, see every life that we've ever lived. I mean, we can go deep.
yeah.
Um, so I'm with you. I think that I think that destiny does play a part, but I don't think it's the only part.
You're talking about all these atoms and like this alien. Do you believe in ghosts? Just a question.
100%.
100%. Oh, I'm interested
100%.
in this. Yeah.
I am. I
Have you
do.
seen anything in your life? Like
I
have you seen?
mean, can I directly say this happened to me and I know that was a ghost? No, I don't have like irrefutable evidence, but I think that it would be very ignorant to assume that you have an understanding of what's going on. I think the visible light to the human eye is something like 7% of all light. So that means 93% of what's going on around you, you don't see.
Okay.
That alone, you know, lends an educated mind to say there's probably some shit going on that our brains don't even comprehend. And then if you get into psychedelics, are you removing those constructs that allow you to see certain things? I'll tell you, like when you take some psilocybin mushrooms,
Yeah,
you
mushrooms.
understand that everything's connected. You have a firm grasp on what some people might call like ether or chi or energy, or like this divine being that connects and runs through everything, you know
Yeah.
and there are certain substances that allow you to remove those constructs that allow you to see certain things. I mean, I can tell you from my own experiences, and I can tell you if you jump on Joe Rogan's podcast and listen to a few of those, DMT is a crazy substance, and it really kind of resets the way you look at things, because you pretty much remove all the blinders and all you see is energy, and it's a
Wow.
wild trip. And I can't say I recommend it because you're only 17,
Yeah.
but if there's a time in your life where it's appropriate for you to do it, it will find you.
Really? Okay. Yeah, like why does okay, like I heard like theories about like they see these elves, right? That are like the creators of the world. Like have you ever experienced anything like that?
I've made it with me. With my experience with DMT, I've made it to the playroom, but I've never made it beyond. So if
Okay.
anybody's watching this and they've done DMT, they'll be like, "I've been to the playroom." But so it's to my understanding, to my you know my knowledge on it, you can get to the play, you get to where you're most ready to receive. And as you're more open to it, you can go deeper into the realms. um a great book on this was Rick Strassman's, wrote a book about all of the research he did, university government funded. I think it's called DMT, the spirit molecule. It's a great listen. It's like a 20-hour book. It's crazy. He has the trip reports, the good, the bad, all the things that went well. If this happened, the trips tend to go wrong. Like, it's a really interesting read, or listen, if depending on how you consume your media.
That's true. Yeah. No, like even have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
Recently,
No
just
way.
recently, I'd
Wow.
never before. We were at my in-laws taking. They live in. They're from Spain, so we were in Spain. during a siesta, and I was laying on the couch, and I just remember like I'm awake, but I can't move my body. I never had like a demon on my chest, but I just
Yeah.
remember being on the couch and being like, okay, move, just get up, get up, get up. And like it was like a repeat. I'm like, okay, I can't move. I can't get up. I can't move my head. What's going on? But I've never had like I said, like I hear with sleep paralysis, some people have these
Demons.
visualizations of
Yeah.
like a demon sitting on their chest and holding them still. And I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
Um, but for as far as like a sleep paralysis, yeah, that
But
it was very unique and strange.
the science behind the demon they see is you, but be without like skin. Like it's like you without flesh. So like you could go even deep into that, right? Like why does that even happen? I'm sure there's some supernatural aspect of the demon, right? Like why doesn't it happen to everyone? Why it happens on certain situations? Like why?
I mean, there are certain cultures that thought schizophrenia were people that were divinely touched to be able to speak and see people from other realms, you
Yeah,
know, and
I heard
it's
about that.
only a westernized society that says those people are sick, deranged, and belong in a hospital. So it's really just a lot of it might be cultural too, but I'm not really sure with this particular with the sleep analysis. You
Yeah,
can't really train for sleep analysis, whereas like astral projections or lucid dreaming, those things you can train your brain to get into.
yeah.
Whereas I feel like the sleep paralysis is more random, you
So
know?
exactly like why does that happen? You know, that's
Yeah.
like there might be like some other like out of science definition because my brother had sleep paralysis, right? And he would only have it for a certain amount of time. He was doing full-time work, full-time school, and he was like maybe like super stressed. Maybe he only had it for 2 weeks, and every time he had sleep paralysis, he had a lucid dream right before it. So it was crazy. Like
A lot
y-
of the information out there on lucid dreaming is really interesting.
yeah, hundred
Um,
percent.
and there's a lot of like freedom of information request acts where the CIA has all their papers on lucid dreaming, um, remote viewing, astral projections, and if you know where to look, you can literally find like step by step guides that were written by the government. You're in Canada, right? So
Yeah,
written by the U.S. government about they're researching with MK Ultra and all the CIA dark op shit that they did back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, which is still rumored to be happening now, which I wouldn't be surprised one bit. Why would you stop doing that if you were figuring it out? But um, there's a lot of information out there that you know could help harness those tools.
yeah, 100%. It's deep. Okay, now we're talking about ghosts. What about aliens? You believe in aliens?
Same,
Same
same,
thing. Same
same,
thing.
same. I 100%. I mean, that's like that. I would say not believing in aliens would be almost more ignorant than not believing in ghosts, because you're saying that even if we are like God's chosen race, you don't think that he might have tried it somewhere else out there one or two more times to figure it out before he got here. Maybe we were volume two and there's volume 100 somewhere else. Like there's got to be, and then if you're a creationist, if you don't believe in God and you just think big bang boom, organisms growing, like the chance that this is the only Earth that happened on, or the only
Mhm.
planet. Like there's evidence that Mars probably had life at one time. There's evidence out there that other planets could be habitable based off of our animalistic structures. Maybe there are organisms out there that don't need oxygen, that don't need the elements that we know.
100%.
So I think that it's back to those infinite possibilities. 100%. There's got to be aliens.
Yeah, because people just think of it like the Toy Story green aliens, bro. It doesn't have to be like that, right?
No,
Like
I mean
it could
aliens
be anything.
could be eh, beings from another realm. If
Yeah.
you look into like, even if you look at like, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but if you look into like the Men in Black, and it was it Nixon or Roosevelt, like apparently there was a deal made where we got certain technology and they were able to fucking abduct people here and there to like run their own thing. So like, I think there's a lot of truth to a lot of the rumors and the conspiracies, and the conspiracies might not be 100% on, but like something happened to create that thought somewhere where it caught on.
100%.
It would be foolish to just write it off as like nonsense.
Conspiracies. Now, how about pyramids? That's the main one. What do you think about that
I
conspiracy?
think the Egyptians had free energy. I think It's been proven. I think all of the ancient structures, I think India was great with it. They knew how to harness the energy with mercury, with the reservoirs or the aquifers beneath. If you get high enough into the atmosphere, you can harness the energy from the ether, spin that on the, you know, if you look at the old structures and you look at it and compare it to an electrical structure now, they're almost identical. And without being able to like access certain information, I'm going to sound like I'm regurgitating bits and pieces, but like there's free energy. Tesla figured it out. There's free energy out there. It just doesn't make anybody any money. So why would they give us the free energy?
Yeah,
You're gonna lose all, like there's too much money to be lost to let that information out there.
100%. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like there's too many. Like I heard like even Joe Rogan talk about this, right? Like there's so many stones to be like made, but like people also think it wasn't made in like a year or two. It was made over like thousands and thousands of years. You know, so
I mean, there's a lot of people that think these big stones were moved with sound.
okay.
There's a lot
Oh,
of
with
people that
sound, that's
with
crazy.
sound, and we're capable of certain things that we'll never have access to because the collective evolution of where our species is at has ruled it out as a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a really interesting person by the name of Matthias De Stefano, and he claims to have memory of past lives and that he lived in a post. What's the place that I'm thinking of? The island that sank into the ocean, that all of the ancient philosophers, Socrates, they all speak of it. Atlantis. He was from
Okay, yeah,
a post-Atlantean civilization, and can recall certain things, can speak in certain languages, and has had some really unique, particular events happen, have it witnessed by enough people where like you can't discredit it. Um, I mean, I think it's all possible. I think it's all real.
100%. Yeah, for sure. Like if you're talking about like this energy, right, or like these stones, some people believe in like the earth stones, you know, like or birthstones that like they give certain powers to you. What do you
Mhm.
think about that? You think certain stones could give you
I do. The
really?
crystals, people like to write off crystals as nonsense, but like if you look at a crystal under a certain lens, like quartz glow, they have energy. Your birthstone probably has some, they didn't just make up birthstones one day. I'm sure that there's some information that you can read into that, but there are certain stones that can help harness certain energies 100%.
So you're leaning towards a yeah. Like if I put a gun to your head and you have
Oh
to
yeah,
give the
yeah.
right answer.
Oh, 100. I would say yeah. You
Yeah.
you can harness energy from rocks, from stones, from crystals.
Okay. Or some people believe I forgot the name of the stone. It's the turquoise one, but it's like it's supposed to give you good luck. Like,
Mhm.
do you believe in that? Like, oh, the stone can give you good luck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, do I even have them in this bag? I used to travel with this bag,
That's crazy.
but I had like when I was fighting in the UFC, I had like a few stones that I would try to keep on me. Um, that being said, I would also keep like my dad and my stepdad ashes with me. I think energy is really important. When I fight, I always have my dad, my stepdad, and my brother's initials, who have all passed, written on my hand wraps on my wrists. So I think, if you're open to believing in it, I think the energy is there and it will manifest for you.
Yeah, even your one in the contender series, I saw your whole family was there.
Yeah.
That's like a wholesome moment. You know, that's a big moment.
We had a,
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun. So it was crazy. So when you fight on the contender series, they give you like tickets for four people, and then one of my homies that I grew up with, his cousin knows Dana through Peter Welch's boxing gym in Boston. So he's like, I'm calling my cousin. I'm gonna try to get tickets. So he got 4 or 5 tickets. So I had like my family and like some of my closest friends out there. When you're only supposed to have three people, I had like a group of like 10 motherfuckers sitting up in the stands watching me fight. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. But how's your relationship with Dana?
I
Like,
don't have a relationship with Dana White. I shook his
no?
hand once, pre-fight. He gave his talk. I
Okay.
said, "What's up?" But he's a very busy man, and he
Oh,
really
really?
just cares about making money. If you're
Oh,
like one of
really?
his superstars, sure. But if you're not even like top 15, he probably doesn't. He's probably like, it's just another name,
So,
you
like,
know?
he doesn't personally call you when there's like a fight
Oh
booked?
God, no. You get an
That's
email
crazy.
from a matchmaker, which is fine. You know what I mean? like I said,
Hunter
he's a
Campbell,
very
you know.
busy man. So the matchmakers are the ones that reach out. It's usually an email. They usually email your
Okay.
manager. Your manager is the one that calls you. Um, but it's not. Yeah, it's not. Maybe back in the day, Dana was calling people, but I'm pretty sure when he was doing all the Ultimate Fighter stuff at the Palms, he wasn't even talking to those motherfuckers. Like he
Oh,
was doing his own thing. You know, he's
that's
like
crazy.
that's
How about
just.
yeah, go ahead.
I think that's just the nature of the beast. You know, when you have an organization that big, you can't you find somebody who you can delegate certain things to and trust that they're going to do it the way you want it done, and then you remove your responsibility from those decisions.
Yeah, that's good. You gotta have the right people, you know,
Mm.
to do that. How about with Masvidal? Do you ever?
Masvidal's a cool guy. I had a conversation with him after the fight. Of course, I lost again. Another fight that I would say I was winning, and then I lost. You know, some of my losses. Some of my losses are the most frustrating things that I've ever had to live through. Um, and losing to Rosa in the third, whereas I had him on the ropes and should have finished him in the second, is one of those things where I'm like, that might be second to Chase Hooper of most frustrating losses in my career.
Yo, Masvidal is my favorite fighter. It's crazy. I'm not even joking. Like his personality is just like this
In the
guy's.
way he is the way he is.
He's.
Like I try to talk to him, it's like 2 or 3 word answers. Yep, you did it. Yep. Well, and I'm like, I can't get anything out of this guy.
Bro. Bro, when he fought Kobe, bro, that was the most depressing fight of my life. I wanted
Yeah,
Masvidal to win so bad. I wanted
I
him to
think
whoop his
I
ass.
think everybody did. You know,
Yeah, because he was a good guy in that situation.
and he's not always the good guy. You know, he fought him and so I train under Joe Lozon. He's one of my good buddies, one of my coaches. Him and Joe fought before they both got into the UFC. Way back when it was like one of Joe's like I would say before the Ultimate Fighter, all that crap. But I mean he's just another veteran that's been around forever, you
Yeah,
know.
they were supposed to. He
But
was supposed to fight Cerrone too, right, Joe? Before that got
yeah, they're
canceled twice.
both yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, Masvidal was yeah.
I think
I'd
he's a
say
real one. You know what I mean? You get what you're getting with Masvidal.
yeah. He's a great fighter. How was that promotion though? Fighting under Gamebred, any different than UFC or?
Um, it was a lot of fun. They did a good job with all of their media. It was like just, you know, being in a new place for the first time. So I was kind of like trying to take it all in, you know, and but I had a lot of fun. They did a real good job taking care of everything. The checks cleared. That's like the biggest concern. There was no issues with that. Um, and you know, I have a welcome back down there. So hopefully, you know, when they start to put together another show, I'm a name that they take into consideration.
No, so you have. Are you still in contract with them or?
So they do per fight.
Oh, per fight. Okay.
They do a per fight deal. Maybe, you know, if you win a couple fights for them, they'll try to lock you up. But I'm pretty sure that they're not exclusive contracts. So like if
Okay.
I had a fight booked for Gamebred and for whatever reason the UFC was like, hey, we have an opportunity, we want you to go fight there, they would let me go fight there.
Oh,
You
okay,
know,
that's
same thing.
great.
And I've talked to BKFC. Same thing with them. BKFC, they do multiple fight deals, but there again, there's no uh, there's not a non compete on it. So if you got an opportunity, you just got to let them know, hey, I'm gonna go do this. I'm still gonna honor my contract, but this fight seems to be better for me right now, and they're pretty open with that too.
Have you ever thought of the? You heard about the GFL League, right? The Global Fight League.
Yeah, I reached out to them
So
while they were doing all their stuff, and
that
because
would
they
be
were
great.
signing people left and right, and then they
Yeah.
come to find out they're drafting teams. And what the way I saw that was we're gonna sign a bunch of fucking 50-50 guys that have good followings where they're from. They're gonna do a bunch of free PR for us, and then we're gonna sign all the big names that we're also advertising, and that's pretty much what happened.
Oh, okay.
You know,
So
if you look
would you be
like if
down
you,
though?
I would be down 100%.
Yeah, you would be
What I
down.
would,
Oh, okay.
but
There's some good
they signed
fighters.
Charles Rosa, the kid I just lost to.
Oh, really? They signed him?
They did.
Oh,
But it was, I'm not sure what their contracts look like because it's a league. They're supposed to fight so many times.
yeah.
And what I heard on the contract for show and win money, I'm like, is that for all 4 fights or is that per fight?
Oh,
So
so it's pretty good.
it
Yeah.
looked it looked good because I saw someone that got a contract but
Oh,
wasn't
nice.
drafted, so I don't know what their final contracts look like.
Okay.
So I
But
have no idea what they're paying.
yeah, I would love to see you versus like Tony or someone. You know, that'd be a great fight.
I think so. I do. Me too. I would love to have an opportunity like that.
There's a lot
I'm
of good fighters in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. So
yeah,
they what they did was they ended up, like I said, they signed a bunch of guys, got a bunch of people talking about it, and then let's say they had 100 people go into the draft, and then they, let's say out of that 100, 30 of them were UFC veterans. They've
yeah.
signed the 30 UFC veterans.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. All right, bro. I got a segment on my podcast. It's called the Hat of Philosophy. All right.
Okay.
Uh, there's a usually they're in person, but it's just a hat. You gotta pick out a question.
Sure.
Gotta keep it real, always. All right. So the question: do red rooms exist? Do you
Red
know what that
rooms.
is? Red rooms.
Um, I'm like, do I put my conspiracy hat on? Like, what red room are
Yeah,
we talking about here?
conspiracy red
Like,
rooms.
where they
No, like it doesn't have
or
to be to that extent.
like, what red room are you
No,
talking
no, no. I'm
about,
talking
dude?
about
Because
the
like,
conspiracy red room. I'm talking about like, okay, like the dark web, right?
yeah,
Let's say like there's a live broadcast going on. There's a guy on a chair,
I
and
know what
some,
you're talking about. So they can pay to torture the guy
yeah, he would
through
just
someone
type in the
being
chat,
100% those exist.
100%.
100% those, dude. The amount of shit on the dark web would like eat your soul, and it's not even that hard to find. Like, if you had the website, you could find it. They're just unpublished websites. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, me and my buddy way back in the day, we went on the Silk Road. We got transferred some money to Bitcoin. We bought a bunch of MDMA. We bought a bunch of of DMT. 6 months later, it showed up in the mail. Like, all the
no
stuff on
way,
the
bro.
dark web exists.
Every
Yeah, oh
single
yeah, it
time,
came.
dude.
Yeah, there had been one time my buddy got he thought he got stiffed, so he went and made another purchase, and then the first purchase from like 8 months ago randomly showed up, and then the most recent purchase from say like 3 months ago randomly showed up, and he's like, I've got all this stuff that I don't need anymore.
Bro, wow,
So I
that's
know, like,
crazy.
the dark web, those things, the torture rooms, those all exist. I read articles about them. They know that they exist. They know that they're there. The hardest thing is like trying to find out where they are while they're happening.
It's crazy because how people are like that, you know?
Oh, it's all these uber wealthy people that like don't know what it is to feel anything anymore, and that's how they get off.
You seen Eyes Wide Shut, right? Have you seen that movie?
A long time ago, but I very much understand. Those things exist. I mean, I've listened to people that have survived hunting parties, kids that were raised to be sacrificed, that have escaped and gotten into let's say like protective services. Like, there's a group of billionaires that release people on out in this land, and like in the middle of, I don't want to say Sweden or Poland, but like, if you look it up, you can find the information. There are these hunting parties in Europe where the uber rich pull like the dregs of society, get them out there and let them go, and they fucking hunt them. Like, this crazy shit happens.
Because
You
money
know,
isn't even like a concept to them, right? Like people is
it's not. You want it for a lot of for a lot of people don't understand the amount of wealth that exists in the world, and that the people that have it are so far removed from most of society that they'll never cross paths.
yeah. So you're saying like the higher power. Like you think there's like people who like control everything we do, like the food.
The food,
Well,
100%.
yeah, like what's in our food and stuff.
Yeah, I do. I think that there's a combination of people being malicious, and then there's a combination of people just thinking that they're doing the right thing, and the people that are malicious are taking advantage of the people that are just thinking they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like they see themselves as gods, you know, like they're
Oh,
controlling
100. You
everything.
don't think Bill Gates has some crazy God complex?
I'm sure he does, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. The whole Diddy party thing.
He's that dude. And what you want to look at is like Epstein, Diddy. Those are just two of a large web of blackmail operations that probably run back to fucking. And maybe I shouldn't say that, because then boom, your podcast is going to drop way down on YouTube. But like
I'll cut that out. I'll cut that
yeah,
out.
there are intelligence agencies with honeypot organizations all over the world that blackmail people left and right to get their way. It's a fact of life, and you can live with your head in the sand and try to deny it, but like Epstein was one of many. Diddy was one of many. Epstein might have been the one that controlled the politicians. Diddy's probably the one that controls the entertainment. They probably have somebody in finance. They probably have somebody, that operates with the NGOs. And don't even get me started on the NGOs. Like Oprah's right-hand man went down for child trafficking. You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff. It's all connected. They're all friends. They all rub elbows,
Yeah.
and they all like feed the same evil gods, if you will.
And yeah, even like Hollywood stars, I don't get why people worship these people anymore. Like, there's literal people who worship these celebrities, but after finding out all this Epstein thing, like, how do you still do that? How can you know that they've done this and they
Dude,
still do
even
it?
even like more recently, more tangible is like the whole thing with Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and that other guy in that whole movie. Like everybody thought Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were like great fucking people, and then come to find out they're like pretty shitty humans like the rest of us. But all these people just love them because they're beautiful people and they're talented and can act.
Yeah,
But like at the end of the day, they're just scummy like the rest of us. Like the movie, like the show on Amazon, The Boys.
yeah,
Everybody grows up thinking if you had special powers, you'd be a superhero and you'd do good and you'd only do good. And then they come out with The Boys and you're like, nah, they're just normal people with superpowers and they're just going to fuck you up like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality of the situation. Like it's not like is it a satire for people in power? Like at the end of the day, we're all humans, and just as how you could simply make a bad decision or be a bad person, and that's just the way you think. They're the same people. They just
yeah,
have better opportunities. Like as a kid, I always wanted to be like in the movies and like famous, and then come to find out all the kid stars were the ones that were getting. It's
oh,
like
yeah,
that's the crazy side of Hollywood that nobody wants to talk about.
yeah, for sure. Like, I'm sure, like with this whole Diddy party thing, right? Like they literally blackmail you. Like if you don't do what they do, like
Dude,
they like kill your family, essentially.
there are people that you can listen to, like you can watch their interviews where they're like, I've seen Diddy's kid and Justin Bieber at the same time, all three of his boys
Bro,
in a dark room at a Diddy party. Like those firsthand accounts exist.
it's
And they're
crazy,
out
bro.
there. You just have to go find them, of people that have been there, that have seen it, that are fairly protected at this point. And it's wild, man.
It's scary, bro. It's scary. The fact that that even happens around the world, but you can't fight it, bro. You can't fight it.
And it's crazy, dude. It's crazy what people do with power.
Yeah, power brings ultimate power brings the worst out of people.
It
It's
can.
it's it's crazy, bro. But that's one of my favorite conspiracies. Um,
I mean, there's a lot of people that say Hollywood burned down to get rid of a lot of the evidence. And that's why, if you look in the right places, you can see footage of what appear to be lasers shooting down in LA, setting fires. There's a lot of evidence to say they weren't wildfires, that they were started by individuals, that they were started by the poor management of the electrical lines.
yes.
There's a lot out there that you have to sift through to try to figure out the truth.
What's your favorite conspiracies, man? Favorite conspiracy?
Man, my favorite conspiracy that I would love to see come to light would be the whole Pizzagate thing that went down
Yeah,
um, back in like 2017.
I
I,
heard
I
about
still
that.
think that was real. I still think Podesta is a sick individual. I still think um, a lot of stuff got brushed under the rug really quickly because not enough people were paying attention. And then COVID hit and people spent a bunch of time on their computer, and you had a lot of these conspiracy theories start gaining traction with more people. But I think that whole Pizzagate thing is real. I think the elite do sacrifice children that have been tortured and drink that blood that's full of adrenaline. I'm like a lot of the stuff you hear Bryce Mitchell say. I'm like, he's onto something.
Bro, well, what do you think of that whole situation? Are you Team Bryce or of course, right? Team Bryce?
In what regard?
Like
I
with
think I
him?
think I think a lot of the information around World War II, it's spoon fed to us in a way to believe that we were on the right guys won. But if you look at a lot of, I'll make one point. Nobody makes a big deal about the 30 million Christians that were killed in Russia by the Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks
Mm,
were an 80%, if not more, Jewish organization, communist organization that took over Russia.
mhm.
Nobody makes a big deal about those people that were killed, and everybody's hung up on World War II.
No, but yeah, you're right. But I'm trying to say like the fact that people are arguing that he has freedom of speech. He could say whatever he wants, but Dana
And
went
he
out and
should
said
and he should be able to. Yeah,
exactly. So
100%.
you're Team Bryce, right? Because like Dana White is
I'm team constitution. I'm team free speech. I'm even if I'm wrong with everything that I say, it's that's on me for saying it, and it's up to whoever watches it to discern and use their critical thinking skills to decide whether it's true or not.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, because Dana made a whole video saying that this guy
Yeah, and
is
if you follow the money, you see who really owns things and why he might be pressured to say certain
exactly yeah.
things
Because
without
yeah,
just observe,
there's definitely
see where the money comes from, see who why certain things might be controlled to say what he needs to say. But
definitely
yeah,
stuff behind the scenes that made him
oh, 100
go
percent.
up to that, bro. It's crazy. All right, bro. You want to do one last question and then we can end it
Yeah,
off?
let's do one last question.
All right, bro. One last question. Actually, I just know it. All right, bro. We'll end it off with another philosophy question. All right. Is it good to do something bad to get something good?
It depends.
I know
um
it depends, but like, yes or
it
no?
depends, yes or no. It depends on the I mean, does the end justify the means? It's like that's a Machiavellian idea that's been around forever. And you can give certain situations where it does, and you can give certain situations where it doesn't. So I think that's a very nuanced question that doesn't have a right answer.
Doesn't yeah, because like if you had to like steal food, but the sake of feeding your family
It's
is
wrong to steal
justified,
the
right?
food, but
Yeah.
it's also bad to let your family starve. There's a
Yeah.
book, and I forget who wrote the book, but it's the book's called or a story, maybe it's a short story, The Ones Who Left O'Malley, and it's about how this town exists and it's an absolute utopia. And for every child to become an adult and to just to decide that to live in that society where everything is perfect, they have to know the truth as to why that society can exist. And the only reason why that society exists is because there's a small child that lives in a basement that is tortured and withheld from daylight, malnourished, like worst case scenario, chained to a chained to the floor, shits in a pail, lives in feces, um, and that child has to exist for the town to survive in this perfect utopia. So I think what the and the eternal issue of the main character is I'm going to be one of the ones that have left O'Malley.
Hmm.
And I think the short story is called The Ones Who Leave or The Ones Who Left O'Malley. And it's about how a small percent of the population can't exist knowing that that child exists and they have to leave the city to and be banished to like the wilderness, and it brings up a lot of things. And it was definitely a book that we read in like a philosophy class. I read in philosophy class in college. But it brings up these questions like, to what extent can something horrific and horrible and the worst case scenario exist in order for this to exist?
Yeah, exactly.
and
Is there
and
any? Sorry, go ahead.
what it does is it's like, you want to say no, you would never agree to that, but then you look at to see how all of the elements that go into making an iPhone, where do they come from? Well, there's
Yeah,
mines in Africa where children climb into holes to get the cobalt or to get the lithium, that where like these children's die in these abhorrent working conditions just so you can have an iPhone. So
yeah.
it's like you don't think you participate in these cycles, but at the end of the day, you really do.
But yeah, it goes back to like, is there anything that's 100% wrong, right? Like, do you think there's one thing that's like 100% wrong? Like, let's say you
I
accidentally
think
kill someone, but it was
I
for the
think
sake to
things I
save.
think I think things just are, and depending on your upbringing and your culture and your situation will dictate whether you see that as something that is good or bad. I
So
think
what?
everything just is. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And whether it becomes good or bad is what you do between your ears.
Okay, so like, let's say murder. We all know that's bad. Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
kill
don't
that
forget. Yeah,
motherfucker.
exactly. Right. But then you gotta
What
go
if
back and define what is good, what is bad, right? You gotta
right.
define that first. So what? What do you think a good person is? or a bad person? Like, do you think you're a good person?
I think I'm a good person. I would
Yeah.
hope a lot of people think I'm a good person. Um, I think that I think good people can do bad things. I think bad people can do good things. I really it's the emotion that you attach to the action that dictates whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's crazy because everyone says, "Oh, he's a good person. He's a good person," but you gotta define what is a good person. Most of the time, people give like examples, right? Like, oh, he's honest, he has integrity, he has all these things. But
Hmm.
let's say like he doesn't have one of them. At what point does he become a bad person? Like, let's say there's
Right.
10 things, right? And he doesn't have two of them. Is he still a good person? He doesn't have three of them. At what point does a person become bad? Like.
I, I see, and I think that it really, I think things just are, you know, it could seem like there's this ancient Chinese proverb. It's like, oh, we're like, oh, he's like, oh, my son was in the field and broke his leg, and everybody's like, oh, that's terrible. But then the next day, the army came and recruited all the able bodies, so my son was able to stay home from war. And they're like, oh, that's a good thing. And then there's like another situation where at first it seems bad, but then something else happens and like, oh, it turns out to be good, or something, you think something was good and then something else happens because that happened that turns out to be bad. So it's like, I think things just are,
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
you
But
know,
I
but
guess
we're
we'll learn
getting
more.
into these nuances of what it means to be.
Yeah, you gotta have the definition. But no one has ever like this is one of the most iconic questions on my podcast too, right? What is a good person? But no one has ever given me an answer to it. It's all just examples of what makes a good person. So I feel
Right.
like there should be a definition. Oh, this is a good person. It can't be qualities. Because what if he
Yeah,
doesn't
but
have that
you can
quality?
have qualities and still make a bad decision, but that does that make
Exactly.
you a bad person? I mean,
Exactly.
could you make a bad decision that spirals out of control and now you're finding yourself like, how the fuck did I even get here? I was,
Yeah.
what do they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions,
Yeah.
you
Or
know?
let's say a guy has been doing good for his whole life, but he ends up killing one person. Is he still a bad person? Like,
I mean, I think that some would say that that's a judgment to be left
exactly.
for later when you
For God.
when you
Or
yeah, for
yeah,
God,
for
for
God.
whoever,
For
for your
no one to
creator.
decide. I think that's just
Yeah,
the end of the question, bro.
you know.
Thank you for coming on my show, bro. I actually really enjoyed this conversation. It
Oh,
was
absolutely.
amazing, bro.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun.
All right, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah,
for coming on
absolutely.
my show, bro.
Yeah, no doubt.
Peace.
Thanks, man.